Gearing in Star Wars: The Old Republic can be incredibly complicated and time-consuming. But don't worry, because today I am bringing you my beginner-friendly, step-by-step guide to the fastest way to gear up that works in patch 7.5, so you don't have to waste your time. This is an improved version of my previous gearing guide, which I published a year ago. The old guide still works, but since then the item rating cap has been raised, which means there is now a faster way to farm your initial set of gear. This new method of gearing only takes about 4 hours until you can unlock the item rating 340 mods. I have even created a new account to try this out myself and to make sure that it works even if you are a completely new player without any unlocks available. But before we jump in, I wanted to say a big thank you to one of my longtime viewers, Bonk aka Mystic, who mentioned this idea to me and helped me come up with this guide. So, first things first, you need to be level 80. While you can farm tech fragments and even get a tactical item at level 75, I recommend that you don't worry about gearing until you reach max level. So, if you're still leveling, just enjoy the story, learn your class, and level up first. Once you reach level 80, the first thing you should do is to go to the supply section of the fleet and talk to the Implant researcher. He will make you wait 30 seconds, after which he gives you a quest called Technological Advancements, which you need to complete to buy your legendary implants. To complete this quest, you need to collect 100 points through various activities such as operations, flashpoints, war zones, or through finishing your personal conquest. But for now, just accept it, you don't need to worry about it too much, as we will complete it automatically while we farm the rest of our gear. The next step is to farm enough Conquest Commendations to buy a full set of item rating 324 Noble Decurion Conquest gear, and then upgrade the Earpiece. If you are a returning player and you already have some Conquest Commendations saved up, that's great. You can skip this step and move on directly to step 3. If all you want to do is play PvP, you will need to farm a total of 465 Conquest Commendations before moving on to step 3. Or a total of 265 Conquest Commendations if you already have a full set of green 324 gear from boosting your character to level 80 using the Master Statacron and Equipment Bundle. If you also want to do PVE, then you will need to farm a total of 585 Conquest Commendations before moving on to step 3, or a total of 385 if you use the boost. The fastest way to farm them is by running the daily area and heroic mission quests, which you find in the solo tab of your activities menu. I would recommend running the daily area circa 198, daily area Black Hole, and the heroic missions on Tatooine, as they are some of the fastest and easiest quests to complete. They are all doable solo with whatever gear you are wearing at the time and a level 1 companion. If it gets tricky, remember that you can use your heroic moment for some extra heals, and if that doesn't help, you can of course try to write in chat and group with another player to complete them. Each of these will reward you 3 Conquest Commendations per quest and 40 to 50 for the weeklies. As you complete these quests, you will also progress your conquest. The Conquest tab of your missions log will show you which activities to complete in order to earn points and how far you have progressed towards your personal conquest goal. These activities change from week to week and you don't need to focus on them too much, because just doing the daily areas and heroic missions will get you close to the goal anyway. But sometimes there is an easy objective that you can grab for some quick points, such as improving your stronghold. Once you reach your conquest goal of 100,000 points, you will earn your personal conquest reward, which nets you another 200 conquest commendations, some credits, and 500 tech fragments, which you will need later. Once you have enough conquest commendations, return to the supply section of the fleet. Here you talk to the conquest gear vendor and buy a full set of item rating 324 Noble Decurion gear. Next, you talk to the conquest gear upgrade vendor and upgrade your Noble Decurion earpiece. This process works step by step, meaning you first buy the 326 earpiece, then the 328 earpiece, then the 330, and so on. For PvP, you only need to upgrade up to rating 336, but if you also want to play PvE, upgrade it to the maximum of 340. If you are a returning player and you have some extra Conquest commendations saved up, you can speed up the next step by buying 2 Noble Decurion relics and upgrading them as well. If you have even more commendations saved, you can also get 2 Noble Decurion implants. You will need to replace them eventually with your legendary implants, but for the next step we'll use the green ones. Next, you walk over to the Mission Departures elevator and go to the dropship launch hangar. From there you walk over to this terminal and accept the Flashpoint Red Reaper mission on veteran difficulty. Next we will farm the first boss of this Flashpoint because he has a chance to drop a blue prototype quality earpiece. This is soloable on any class. The only thing we need is our trusty companion to heal us. Being specced into a DPS combat style makes this faster, so I recommend that. Some tips on the Flashpoint: as soon as you enter the first room, run to the right and walk behind the big container to avoid drawing aggro of all the adds in the first room. The adds in the corridor between the first and second room will always attack you even if you are stealthed. I recommend grouping them up and killing them fast with AoE. Afterwards, stay to the left and avoid all the adds in the second room and make your way to the elevator. On the other side of the elevator there are 2 groups of adds that you need to kill. This is the hardest part of the Flashpoint, so make sure to use your cooldowns and heroic moment here if needed. Finally, you will fight the boss, Lord Keros. He is quite buggy and takes a while to kill. Just interrupt the channel he does when he jumps to the middle of the room and don't stand in the red stuff. Once you kill the boss, he has a chance to drop the blue quality Supreme Decurion earpiece. This drop is semi-random and it works as follows. When dropping an item, the game first randomly picks an item slot. This can be any of the 14 gear slots, so we need to get lucky and have it drop an earpiece. Then the game checks what item rating you have in that slot and drops an item of the same item rating. This is why we upgraded our earpiece. Because if the game decides to drop an earpiece here, it will always be item rating 336 or 340, depending on what you have in that slot. Next, it assigns the quality of the drop depending on the type of content that you're in. Flashpoints in veteran mode difficulty will normally drop green quality rewards, but they also have a chance to drop blue quality earpieces, relics or implants. Finally, the game determines the stats on the item depending on your loot discipline. For example, it might drop a power and crit earpiece for DPS combat styles, or a defense and shield rating implant if you're playing as tank. Now, if you got unlucky and the boss did not drop the earpiece, simply click Exit Area, which will port you out of the Flashpoint. After that, right-click your character portrait and reset the Flashpoint. Now you can enter it again and repeat the process until the boss drops the earpiece. Because you are running this very fast, the game will eventually block you from resetting the Flashpoint for a couple of minutes. At this point, I usually take a break, go pet my dog, or watch an Ivano 1337 YouTube video. Subscribe. If you get bored of running only Red Reaper, you can also use the group finder and run any other Flashpoint. This is what I did, as I got bored of killing the same boss over and over again, and eventually I dropped the earpiece on the final boss of Hammer Station. If you are a stealther, you can also solo Red Reaper on Master Mode difficulty. Because as a stealther, you can skip the big group of adds just before the boss, which can be too hard to kill on Master Mode until you have better gear or a high level companion. When I did this on Master Mode, I dropped the blue earpiece after only 7 runs, compared to the 20 runs it took me on Veteran Mode. I'm not sure if it was only luck or if the boss has a higher chance of dropping the earpiece on Master Mode, but every time I dropped an earpiece, it was 340 and blue quality. So on average, I would expect that you need around 14 runs to drop it. And while I cannot promise that subscribing to my YouTube channel will improve your chances, it also certainly won't hurt them. Okay, so once you found your earpiece, go back to the fleet and find Hyde and Zeek, 2 Rhodians who are hanging out in the supply section. Hyde will give you a choice of quests. Make sure you accept the correct one. Otherwise, you will need to go back to step 3. The correct quests are the 336 prototype modifications if you followed the PvP version of this guide and dropped a rating 336 blue implant, or 340 prototype modifications if you followed the PVE version of this guide and dropped a rating 340 blue implant. After accepting, deconstruct the earpiece, which will destroy it and complete the quest. Make sure to triple check that you have indeed accepted the correct quest before doing this. After talking to Hyde one more time, Zeek will sell you blue quality modifications. Make sure to toggle the combat style filter to all, otherwise you won't see all of the modifications. If you are not sure what modifications to buy, I include the exact number of mods you need in my recent class guides. So check them out, link to the playlist with all of the guides is in the description below, and feel free to ask me any question in the comments if anything is unclear. Now each of the mods costs 100,000 credits, so you will need about 2.5 million credits to fully deck out your character. In case you don't have that, skip to step 8 and farm some tech fragments, then come back here. Once you have your mods, go to the adaptive gear vendor and buy yourself a set of moddable legacy gear, which you can share between all characters in your legacy. The Spoils of War vendor also sells unidentified legacy, main hand and offhands, depending on your loot discipline. Now you simply drop the mods into the legacy gear and you almost have a full set of gear. However, the best gear in the game is purple, aka artifact quality. And if you want to equip the best gear in the game, you either need to be a subscriber or buy the artifact equipment authorization from the cartel market, which costs 1,300 cartel coins per character. I would personally recommend subscribing for at least 1 month if you are enjoying the game so far. Subscribing will give you a couple of benefits, but most importantly it gives you access to operations, which we need for the next gearing steps, and it also lifts the credit cap, which also makes many things easier. If all you want to do is PvP, subscribe for 1 month, and once you're fully geared, you can cancel your subscription again, because PvP is now free to play. But keep in mind that you still need the artifact equipment authorization, as otherwise you will not be able to fully use your legacy gear. If you already have 3,000 tech fragments and 1 million credits, now is the time to buy a tactical item from the vendor here. Remember that legendary implant quest you accepted? Is it already done? If yes, great! Go back to the implant researcher and talk to his little friend, the implant vendor droid. This droid sells you a legendary implant for 6,500 tech fragments apiece. Not cheap, but they are legendary after all. The good news is, once you upgrade your first 2 legendary implants to the maximum item rating of 340, the vendor gives you a discount, so all implants you buy afterward will cost only 2,500 tech fragments apiece. If you didn't already complete the technological advancements quest, or you don't have enough tech fragments, join a tech fragments farm run. If you want to know exactly how that works, check out my guide on it. Link to that is of course also in the description below. If you need more credits, you can use your excess tech fragments to buy OEM 37 or RPM 13 crafting components. These are needed to craft the currently best in slot augments in the game, so at the time of writing this guide, you can sell them on the GTN for 11 million credits apiece. Other great ways of making credits include buying and selling cartel market items, crafting, or being an e-girl.
Hello everyone.
The next big boost to your combat stats will come from augmenting your gear. You can augment any piece of gear except your tactical. That means you will need a total of 14 augments and 14 augmentation kit MK11. I recommend farming enough credits so that you can buy the purple quality augments 74 from the GTN. The blue augments 73 are currently bugged and don't give you the intended stats in PvP, so I don't recommend them for that reason. However, if you want to play mostly PvE and you can't afford the purple augments, blues can be a placeholder as you farm up more credits. Ultimately, you want to have the superior gold augments 77, which are currently best in slot. If you don't want to buy them, you can of course also craft augments. For more info on that, I recommend that you check out SWTOR's guide, which I also will link in the description below. Once you have your augments, simply control and right click on an item to modify it, apply the augmentation kit, and then drop the augment into the newly added slot. Important note, always remove your augments before upgrading your legendary implants. That's because when you purchase a higher item rating implant, the vendor will take your old implant for it. So if you forget to remove the augment before trading it in, it will be lost. And in case you were wondering, no, you cannot remove the augmentation kits, so you will need to buy a couple extras. Once you have that, your character should be powerful enough to take on most endgame content. So next, we are going to start working on our Earpiece and Relics. At this point, you can choose one of two ways. If you are a PvP enjoyer, start playing PvP and complete the PvP weekly quests, which you can get from the PvP missions terminal in the combat training section of the fleet. This rewards you tech fragments as well as WC1 accelerants, which you can use to buy item rating 322 Thursian gear from the PvP gear vendor. Don't worry about the blue quality, they will turn purple as soon as you upgrade them at the PvP gear upgrades vendor. You can complete up to 6 PvP weeklies on a character each week, and each of them will also reward you with a Thursian upgrade cache. These caches will always upgrade your lowest item rating gear piece, so simply keep repeating the PvP weekly until you have upgraded your earpiece and relics up to the maximum item rating of 336. Should you get unlucky with the relic drops, you can of course also use the PvP gear upgrade vendor to upgrade your desired Thursian relics manually to rating 336. Once you have upgraded all your gear to rating 336, you need to complete one more weekly and open the upgrade cache. This will drop you a random Thursian 336 purple quality gear piece, which we will take to Hyde and Zeek in the next step. If you prefer playing PvE, start running the Eternity Vault operation on veteran mode until you drop a purple quality Rakata 324 earpiece or relic. To speed that up, you can use the low level earpiece trick, which I explain in my PvE gearing guide here. Alternatively, you can get Rakata gear from running Nefra, the first boss of the Dread Fortress operation on Master Mode difficulty. This one can be a bit more challenging, especially if you're a new player, but if you're lucky, Nefra can drop you an item rating 340 Rakata piece right away. Once you have your one Rakata piece, you need to upgrade it to item level 340. For that, you will need to farm a lot of OP1 catalysts, and the fastest way to do that is either running operations with a coordinated group to complete the operation weekly quests, or if you are playing solo, keep running veteran mode operations such as Eternity Vault using the low level earpiece trick. This should make it so you will only drop Rakata earpieces, which are worth more OP1 catalysts when you deconstruct them. Keep repeating this process until you can upgrade your Rakata piece to item rating 340 at the Operation Gear Upgrade vendor in the supply section of the fleet. Now that we have a purple quality gear piece of rating 336 for PvP or 340 for PvE, we will return to Hyde and Zeek. Talk to Hyde and make sure to accept the correct quest. Again, that's 336 artifact modifications if you followed the PvP version of this guide, or 340 artifact modifications if you followed the PvE version. Once you have accepted the quest, deconstruct the required item as explained in step 5 and talk to Hyde again. Now, Zeek will sell you the purple quality enhancements, which will give you a bit less endurance, but more offensive stats compared to the blue ones, which is exactly what we want. Again, make sure to toggle the combat style filter to all, otherwise you might not see all enhancements. Also note that there are no purple quality armor rings, hills, barrels or mods. Once you bought your 7 purple enhancements for 200,000 credits each, drop them into your moddable gear in place of the blue ones. Congratulations! If you are a PvPer, you are now finally done gearing. And a final note, since I got that question a lot in the past, if you have the 336 modded gear with the blue armor rings, blue mods and the purple enhancements, it will give you the exact same stats as the non-moddable Thursian 336 gear, which you get from the PvP vendor or the weekly upgrade caches. If you are a PvEer and you want the best possible gear in the game, you will need to return to the operations. Using the same methods as explained before, Expect to farm some more Nephra or other operations until you can amass enough OP1 catalysts to upgrade your full Rakata set to item rating 344. I already have another guide on how to farm this gear as fast as possible, so if that's your cup of tea, check it out. Link is of course also in the description below. That's all I have for you today, guys. If you have a question, let me know in the comments below. As always, I hope this guide helped you. If it did, please remember to leave a like on the video. Consider becoming a channel member and get access to all my member-only videos. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.